Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you all very much for coming this morning. We really appreciate you all coming in. You all were part of all of our lives, and especially my father-in-law, Tata Raju. We have the ceremonies that will start. The religious part of the ceremonies will start as soon as people that would like to say a few things, and we finish saying the eulogy. We've got our family in India that's actually watching all the proceedings, and so we wanted to make sure that they also got an opportunity to hear us talk, and then there'll be like a 5-minute gap, and then we'll start the religious ceremony. I would ask, if possible, if you could all, after the functions, please, we have some lunch at home. We'd really appreciate it if you could come and join us for lunch after. So with that, I think Ravi's going to start, and then please, anybody that's known him wants to talk a little bit about his life, but his impact on all of us, please just spend a few minutes sharing your thoughts.
Good morning. Thanks for coming, guys. I know we've had a lot of gatherings in our house, especially better circumstances, but all of you know this great guy, great man. I don't even know how to start, but if you define this person as dad, he was the ideal dad. He was very measured in the way he conducted himself throughout his life. Had a significant impact on all of the people, friends and family. When we were growing up, he provided the right guardrails the council needed as we went through school, went to college, in terms of how we needed to perform in school, and also how we needed to conduct ourselves in life. But at the same time, he knew when to step back and let us do what we needed to do. His friendship circle was just amazing. This was evidenced when we saw the outpouring of support that came about when we announced that. A lot of things to say. I'm struggling. One of the events that comes to mind very vividly is after a lot of debate, how he decided to leave his very prolific career in India and decided to move to the United States a little bit with his sons just to be part of grandkids. He was part of the grandkids just the same way he was part of our lives that we were growing. And he gave the same care and guidelines he provided us. He was part of their every activities, every picture. He's left indelible. Go to YouTube and watch all the videos he's taken. He's got the record. We didn't do anything because we knew he was going to take them. I know the kids and the rest of you are going to say a lot more about him than I can, but like I said, he was great. I was so glad in the last couple of years he had some things he wanted to do. He said he wanted to go to Canada. He made a trip to Canada. He went to Colorado with him. He spent a lot of time hiking, spending time with playing Monopoly with his kids. And every now and then he would say, "Hey, I want to miss all the company." He was, it goes to say he was just more than a father or a friend. He was even with his kids. He was in later life. He was more a friend than a father. He sat and talked about our problems at work, offered help, advised us. He he always had some examples from his life and showed us how to deal with our problem. Such a great guy, great advisor, mentor. He was my crutch in life all the way. It's going to be hard to go walk with that. Thank you guys. I think we took a lot of time, but that's so much, folks. Thank you. Good dad.
That's his video as well. The videos up to do.
Yeah.
So thank you all for being here. So born in Madurai, initially grew up in Madurai and then I spent time in Madras before he made Coimbatore his hometown, where he had a career in textile technology. So growing up, when I was trying to, when all these events were happening, I was trying to write down, and one thing into all this, I sat there and said, what is the first thing which comes to my mind? And what I remember was his passion for sports. Right? So when I was young, I recall when I was like my son Vikram or Rishi, we used to go to Nehru Stadium, a small stadium in Coimbatore, and we watched all soccer matches and cricket matches, and he was very passionate about the game of cricket. That stays with me even today, and I try to do it. And each time I tell my son Vikram and Tara that my dad we used to go for soccer matches and cricket matches. So we try to do that. I try to do that with them. And traveling with him was a lot of fun. I remember he had a knack of finding good places to eat. He would always find a place where you get good dosas and all that. And growing up, one thing which sticks to me is that I saw a honest, straightforward man, and he never feared authority. I mean, there were times where he would just question authority, and he never tried to dial it. So that confident decision-making process was evident even last week when the doctor at MD Anderson laid out the choice of care between some level of treatment versus no treatment. And my dad had a feeble voice, and we were all sitting on the. I was on the phone from California. My brother was there, my uncle, everybody sitting there, and in a feeble voice he said, "No antibiotics, I'm done." He said, "It's all. I'm not going to take." And that decision-making process, he was never this way or that way. He knew what he wanted, and he just did that. And even the last minute, it was his call, and he was very loud and clear. He was a people person, and he liked to meet people. And interestingly, many people probably do not know that he's also a very good amateur historian. And he loved watching movies. And interestingly, any movie, my mom used to get upset with him because any movie had horses and guns, he would start watching it. It didn't matter who was acting in it. That was a channel which will keep going until that movie is over. And my mom will walk out of the room saying that it's just horses and guns. We had endless arguments and discussions whenever we watched a cricket match. His understanding of all the nuances of the game was just fantastic. He talked about the pitches and he had his own views. The commentator will be an expert on the ground talking about it, he'll say he's wrong. I know what is going on. And invariably he'll be right. And for the last 7 years, I've been also able to spend more time with him whenever he went to India and stayed with him. And when everybody was walking away from going to a place where it was safe, the hospitals and everything, he found this place in the middle of nowhere, on the foothills of the Western Ghats, the Kodaikanal Hills, and everybody said, "Oh my God, you're going to live here?" He said, "Yeah, I'm going to live here." And it was a blast. I mean, he enjoyed the time there. I used to have discussions with him on Indian history, especially South Indian history, and he learned a lot. In fact, every time he came back from a visit to India, he told me about some offbeat location he had visited. And last time I remember he went looking for some archaeological findings, looking for the tomb of the great Chola king, Rajaraja Cholan. And he just found that he went to some unknown village and he saw somebody doing some archaeological survey, and he probably was the only person who visited him. And in my mind, he looked like a king and did not depend on others for making decisions, however important it may be. He lives that legacy, a honest, straightforward, loving, adventurous person. And I will strive to do the same. Rest in peace, Dad.
I am Mani Subramanian, his last brother. To me, he always was much bigger. When I was 4 or 5 years, he was already 14 or 15. We have a 9-year difference. And I always looked up to him for my concerns or anything. He was much more easier to talk to than my father. And of course, he is easy to talk to anybody for that matter. One time I remember vividly, I took him to my daughter's medical interview in Kansas City. I think the entire trip, he talked to her more than I have talked to her in my entire life. He can talk, that is for sure, And he enjoyed that. And I don't know what it is. People enjoyed conversing with him also. I will remember that and I can never forget. And he is the father for me last 40 years. After my father passed away, I looked up to him as my father. No miss.
I'm Ramesh and cousin, young cousin of his. I remember him from my very early days. I used to visit my father, his uncle, and they used to have these unending conversations. As Mani just said, my father has talked to him more than he talked to me. He would come for everything to his uncle. He'll come out from school or a vacation, he'll land up. Then he will say, I just want to spend a little bit of time. My father was quite busy as a lawyer, but still he made time for him. Every little thing he'll run it past my father, his uncle. Every little thing. His career choices, what to study, where to study, should I go there, should I not go there. Then my father would ask him when he comes on a holiday, so what are you doing, which year is it? Is it the first year of engineering, second year of engineering, when are you going to finish? Every nook and cranny of his life, my father knew, more than my life, frankly. So, he was like this awesome figure for me. I mean, this greater than, I think we are separated by close to almost 12 years. And, but he never let that age difference ever show. He would talk to me as though I was just his immediate younger brother, even though I was a small kid or whatever. Never showed. Throughout his life, he's been like that. He's one of the most people persons I ever know. You talk about somebody, he borders on garrulous at times. He can talk to anybody. You just drop him in any room and say, okay, room full of strangers, he'll make friends within 10 minutes. And it'll be like you're wondering, what happened? Suddenly, 10 minutes later, how does he talk so intensely with all these people? It's a great, great trait he's had. And he's been a great leader. I mean, to some extent, I followed his career because my father was so involved in part of his career. So, kept following him. And then I studied in the same city where they were living. So, we've had interactions. But it's always, I had always this differential attitude towards him because he was older. But he never let the age thing ever come in any conversations. He would sit and talk to me as though I was just almost his peer, And he'd say, what's going on in your life? Tell me what you're doing. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Such a great human. I will miss him. God rest us. Thank you.
He's my father-in-law, and I met him and my mother-in-law before I met Ravi. It was a traditional Indian arrangement, so I met him, and I remember meeting them for the first time. It was in my uncle's house, and they came and they got along with our family, like, it was not like an extension of the family. It was like our own relatives getting together, partying, eating. If you know anything about our family, we love to eat and we love to drink. I got married into a family that loved the same things. They'd spend hours talking with each other, When we got married and moved here to the U.S., thinking we're going to live on our own, we're going to follow the American way of life. As soon as we found we were pregnant, Amma and Appa, Dad and Mom, basically left their life in India and came and said, we want to be part of your lives. We want to be there for your kids. We want to experience the whole thing. And I'll be honest, initially it was kind of scary to live with a joint family, to have another family move in. But I will tell you, there is nothing I would change in that part. We had my family, we had parents with us. Our kids were blessed, so blessed to have grandparents through every part of their lives, their kids. You see all the grandkids they had, not just the ones that were born to us. They were there for all of the soccer games, the pool parties, you'd celebrate every success and hold their hands with every bad event that happened, vacations together, events together, parties together. And he has set such an example to all of us on how to enjoy every minute, every experience, whether it was working when he was younger or retiring and enjoying every moment with your grandkids. He just lived life to the full, and I hope I have that amount of wisdom and knowledge to be able to go through the rest of my life with all my friends and family. He'll be definitely missed. Thank you.
I'm Tara, as his granddaughter. I had the privilege of knowing him for almost 20 years. He was the only grandfather I had growing up, and he was truly the best one I could have asked for. He was always very stubborn until the very end, very strong-willed. He always got his way, even from the first day of my life when it came to adding an H in my name. He refused to ever be weak or dependent, and that is the kind of strength I hope to have in my life. He taught me a great deal about where I come from. He was very committed to teaching me how to read and write and speak my mother tongue. Some of his last words to me were to encourage me to keep my ties to my culture and learn to pray for him properly. And even though he and I grew up in entirely different worlds, he was very proud of me and the rest of his American grandchildren. Another thing he told me, one of the last things he told me, was to always take care of Pati, which is truly a sign of his everlasting, undying commitment to his wife. He showed love for her through his actions, and I know that love will continue forever. And that's also the kind of marriage I hope to have one day. He was always so proud of his grandchildren. He applauded us for every accomplishment. He asked us about every single test, and he wanted to be at the multitude of concerts and ceremonies we all had. He lived his life on his terms. He did exactly what he wanted. He loved his drinks. He loved his daily flavored yogurt and cricket matches. He loved music and movies and playing Sudoku. And since I was born, he spent a great deal of his time just compiling pictures and videos, and he loved reminiscing. My brother Vikram isn't able to be here. He wasn't able to fly out, but he said, Tata is the manifestation of jolliness. And I think that rings very true. I will miss Tata dearly. I know we all will, and I'm going to do my best to make him proud of me every day.
I'm not in a place to talk yet.
Papa and I had a very special relationship. We gave each other a hard time every single day, and I'm sure he knew that every time I walked into his room, it would be 30 minutes of me giving him crap
and everything. He'll tell you when I was younger, I would steal his half a banana. I would yell at him for taking my little Barbie computer. There are videos of that out there. One thing that really stuck with me is him and the videos he made, and he uploaded them to YouTube recently. But whenever I was having a bad day at school, I'd come home and I'd sit and watch those videos, and I'd see my Baba and just us as kids and hanging out forever. You know, a lot of people don't get to have that opportunity. And Rishi and I were extremely lucky to have them with us pretty much every single day. But I know that he's with us going forward, and I know he's going to be with me when I graduate this May, and when I start my new job, and he's going to be taking care of me when I start the new chapter in my life, and I'll always have him. So, love you, Papa.
Hi, I'm Rishi. I was pretty close to him, I think, especially throughout elementary school. I come to his room almost every day to either watch cricket games or help him with his Sudoku. I remember, especially like my younger years, I would never go to bed unless he came into my room to tell me a new story or something. During my recreational soccer year, he used to promise $10 every goal I scored. I remember one year I made a solid $200 because he didn't recognize how easy recreational soccer was. But yeah, I mean, he thought I was a much better person than I actually am. I'm just blessed to have him as a part of my life. He gives me praise for everything, and even after I grew taller than him, he still saw me as the same little kid in recreational soccer. I'm just really happy that he was a part of my life and such a big part of it too.
And don't forget that your coach very important. Don't promise that much money.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Samya. I'm his daughter-in-law, second daughter-in-law. So, I lost my father when I was 14, so for the last 20-something years, I've called him Appa, which is Dad. It's very hard to lose your parent over again, which is what he was to me. Everybody has said so many different things about him, and I have to agree with all of them. Yes, he was a great speaker. I mean, you could sit and talk to him about anything. There was no topic that was a taboo with him. You could talk about anything with him. And he, as much as he was a great talker, he was also a great listener. So, coming from India, you know, it's being an immigrant, you're navigating your belief system from where you come and where you're adopted to live in. And so nursing is not particularly the most glorious career that people choose back in India, because it's more unskilled, it's more. But then I told him that I was going to be a nurse. We had a long conversation, many days. And then eventually I was able to convince him because he was ready to listen. And that's how he was with everything. You could talk to him about everything. You know, all the grandkids talked about him being here and him spoiling them rotten, but at the same time, he never once told us how to parent. He would never say, don't discipline your kid, or don't do this, or don't do that. That was never him. It was always in addition to, you know, you had us doing all of all of the normal parenting stuff, but then they were always there for the kids to say, hey, your kid is, you know, scolding me or whatever, and he would be there. He wouldn't say that we were ever wrong. He would just hug them and say, it'll all be okay, you know. And he never ever came back to us and said, why are you doing this to your kids? And that if you know, is a really hard thing to do when you are co-living, when you are seeing a child cry. Any child cry, it is very hard not to go there and intervene, and he never did once do that. Appa and Amma have become like, Shubha has village here, and I have my village in California, and when we lived in Fort Worth, we had another little group of friends. Little is a misnomer. We were like 40 families, or give or take. So, you know, it's like every one of them he would remember to ask. They became the surrogate parents for all of our friends and family. And they all called them Mama and Appa. And anytime any of them had something to celebrate, they were part of it. He and Amma are going to be sorely missed, not just by his immediate family, but all the people that they have touched through their lives. As I said, it's really hard to lose your parent over again, and it has been very hard for me to walk the fine line between being a professional and taking care of him and being that daughter who can cry and mourn in different ways. So I'm here. I'm gonna miss him.
I think we're just going to take a short break if everyone's done to flip them over and start the ceremony, unless you'd like to speak.
My name is Vinita, and I'm married to Manny, and he's my brother-in-law, as well as part of our extended family growing up in India as well. I was a regular visitor in their house when they first got married and when Ravi was born. And I have very fond memories of Anna and Mami, as we call them, relating to young people, you know. And I've watched Anna do trailblazer things, you know. He was part of an industry that many of our family didn't know and didn't venture into. He was part of many external organizations like Rotary and doing service work in community, as well as doing networking, which many in our family didn't aspire to do. So they were kind of like examples for us to follow as to how to live in the community and contribute to the community, as well as the extended family. For the last 20-25 years, they've been here, and they were our default father-in-law and mother-in-law for me. So I always consider them as my loss, as my father-in-law and mother-in-law. And now I can talk on a variety of topics. It's amazing, you know, how many things he kept up with and how many things he can talk about. And like Soumya was saying, it's not just talking, it's also listening. So if you had something to say, if you had something to discuss with him, he would listen first and then come back and give you his perspective, which was always a different insight. You know, you learned a lot just by listening to him. The one thing I would carry forward from Anna is how to live life. Every moment, being in the now and here, enjoying every minute. And they were doing this even as a young couple. You know, we would watch them in amazement, because that's not how many people in India live. They knew how to allocate time for themselves and how to allocate time for the family and for work. And they were traveling all kinds of places, you know, all unheard of villages as well, you know, in Kiddie. They were one of the first people to go overseas for work, you know, to Mauritius and other places. So it was always an inspiration to see this couple work together like a unit. They were a unit. And the way they depended on each other is something we can all learn in relationships. How they supported each other, how they loved each other, and how you move forward in the care as for each other. It's all something we can learn from and emulate. You will be stand up by your hope. Stand up.
You must hold. Yeah, come on. Can he say a few words? He is his classmate. Come on. You should. You should. You have to.
It was, we know for last 10 years, even though you are classmates in Bombay, in technical college in 1960s. but I was introduced to him 10 years ago by one common friend from Cincinnati, whether I know him. So rather than calling him friend, now I've become a family because I know all his family, his two sons, his children, his brother, you name it, the whole family I know because he invited me for every function of his family, whether it's we call Navaratri or sons, children's celebration in Houston. So I've been part of his family, and he's so close to me. He has invited me for every function, and I recently met him in California with my brother-in-law and my wife's brother, and he remembers him so much because he's so friendly. My brother-in-law became more close to him than me. And then now today, when I informed him, oh yeah, I know he's a jolly good friend. I said no, he's a jolly good family member. And I will be missing because only last week he talked to me on the phone, and on the phone I couldn't even realize he's only 1 week to like this. I couldn't believe it because he was talking so nicely about a week ago. Of course, he told me all his recent medical problems, so I'm aware of it. But I didn't think the death is coming so soon, because we don't know. Because I'm also almost his age, and we all think about death is one of our it's like paying taxes. You have to face this anyway. But I'm so happy because I happened to have an opportunity to visit him in Theni, which is in India. It's a mountainous place, and he invited me even there. The first time he invited me was in Coimbatore in a restaurant. And we are just getting introduced to him, and he became so close. I might have visited him, and we must have seen each other about 100 times in the last 10 years, which we don't do in our lifetime. So that many times he has been in contact with me. And in Coimbatore, we have so many parties. Of course, we drink a little bit. And then he called me in Theni, which is near Kodaikanal, mountainous place. And I thought, hey, are you going to have some drink? He said, sure, Ram, just come on over. Then he and another common friend who we got together, we had a separate place. Then, he loves food. So first thing he told me in Theni was, hey, I'm going to show you a new place to eat. I said, where is that? So he took me there somewhere on the edge, and it was closed. Right? So he said, no, I'm going to take you there. So next day he took us again, we went down there, and he said, hey, you have not tried this food, you have not tried. It was all new food. I never learned that there was such a new food in Kodaikanal, near Kodaikanal, So we enjoyed that trip a lot. 4 or 5 days we were there together. He made sure I get all kinds of food I want. Maybe he liked it more than me. And we enjoyed the company. And he even visited me in Austin 2-3 times. I told him, I'm not in a house, I'm in an apartment. Doesn't matter, your heart, you got a home. I'm coming and visiting you. I think money and family, everybody came there. Great time, and I'm going to miss him a lot because we talk almost every week. Sorry to see that him go. Thank you.
सर्वावस्था गतो विव यस्मरे पुण्डरीकाक्षं समार्य अभ्यन्तरः सुचिति मानसं वाचिकं पापं कर्मणः समुपार्जितं श्रीराम स्मरणे न संशयः श्रीराम राम राम तिथु विष्णु तथा वारः शुद्धं विष्णुच योगश्च जीव सर्व विष्णुमयं जगत् श्रीगोविन्द गोविन्द गोविन्द अन्यश्री पवित्रः महापुरुषस्य विष्णु आज्ञया प्रवर्तमानस्य अद्य निर्मलः द्वितीय परार्धे श्वेतवराह कल्पे वैवस्वत मन्वन्तरे अष्टाविंशतितमे कलियुगे प्रथमे पादे जम्बूद्वीपे भारतवर्षे भरतखण्डे मेरुः दक्षिणे पार्श्वे शगाब्दे अस्मिन् वर्तमाने व्यवहारिके प्रभवादि षष्टि संवत्सराणां मध्ये शुभऋतु नाम संवत्सरे उत्तरायणे शिशिर ऋतौ मीनमासे शुक्लपक्षे कृष्णपक्षे अद्य विक्रशम्यां शुभदिनौ वासरः वासरस्तु शुक्रवासरयुक्तायां विष्णुयोग विष्णुकर्ण एवं गुण सकल विशेषण विशिष्टायाम् अस्यां वर्तमानायां पुण्यतिथौ वेंकटेश्वर शर्मण वसु उद्देश्य प्रथमे हरि कार्य करिष्ये
ममेव श्रुतिमध्याचमुटजां त्वमस्कुराजगैरुक्वाजामि ब्रह्मणां तमानस्तराज अस्ते यजमानो विद्भिः महेडमानो वृणेकपौदृढं समान आयुप्रमोषीः
अस्मिन् कुम्भे सकलतीर्थ अधिपतिं वरुणं ध्यायामि आवाहयामि वरुणाय नमः रत्नसिंहासनं समर्पयामि पादारविन्दयोः पादारविन्दयोः पाद्यं समर्पयामि अर्घ्यं समर्पयामि आचमनीयं समर्पयामि ऊर्ध्वस्वः शुद्धोदक स्नानं समर्पयामि स्नानानन्तरम् आचमनीयं समर्पयामि वस्त्र यज्ञोपवीत उत्तरीय आभरणार्थे अक्षतां समर्पयामि गन्धार्थं कुङ्कुमार्थं पुष्पाणि समर्पयामि पुष्पमालिकां समर्पयामि पुष्पैः पूजयामि वरुणाय नमः अचेतसे नमः स्वरूपिणे नमः अपाङ्पतये नमः मकरवागनाय नमः तीर्थराजाय नमः जलाधिपतये नमः श्वेतच्छत्रधराय नमः वरुणमूर्तये नमः नानाविध परिमल पत्रपुष्पाणि समर्पयामि
स्वर्जुनः पवित्रेण विजर्षणीं यपोदादुलादमां पुनन्तमादेव जनाः पुनन्तमनमोदिजां पुनन्तविश्वाजवः जातवेद पवित्रपदे पवित्रेण पुनाजिमां शुक्रेण देवदीप्तदे अग्ने कृत्वा कृतोर्मनो जन्ते पवित्रमुच्चषे अग्ने विदधमन्तरां ब्रह्मणेन मुनीमहे उपाभ्यां देवदविदः पवित्रेण तवेन जागृतं ब्रह्म मुनीमहे विश्वदेवी मनदेगेभ्यागादेस्य वक्वेस्तनमोपीतप्रथाहारजामनन्दस्य नमाज्येषु वयक्तिस्यामपदजोरहीनां विश्वानरो रश्मिकर्मावनादो भावप्राणेने जलोमयोगुर्यावापृथिवीमगदावजोभिः प्रदापरीयजयमामनीलां बृहद्भिस्सविदस्रभिः वरषष्ठेर्देवन्नभिः अग्ने दक्षे पुनाजिमामेन देवावनराजेनामो दिव्यङ्गसहालेन दिव्येन ब्रह्मणा इदं ब्रह्मपुरीमहे पाववाणीरब्धेदीर्घविस्सम्प्रदं स्वदितं मातरिश्वना पाववाणीर्योऽब्धेदीर्घविस्सम्प्रदं तस्मै सरस्वतीजुगे क्षीरं सक्कर्मदूतकं पाववाणी सुतजनीः सुतगाजिमजस्वतीर्घविस्सम्प्रदोरसः ब्राह्मणे क्षमतकं विदं पाववाणी दुषन्तुनः यमल्लोकमदो कामान् समर्थयन्तुनः देवैः समावृताः पाववाणी सुस्तजनीः सुतगाजिकृतश्रुतः ऋक्षभिस्सम्प्रदोरतः ब्राह्मणे क्षमतकं विदं तेन देवा पवित्रेणाम् आत्मानं पुनते सुजाहं तेन सहस्रधारेण पावमान्यं पठन्तु मां प्राजापत्यं पवित्रं सदोध्यामकं विरन्मजं तेन ब्रह्मविदोगजं भूतं ब्रह्ममुनीमहेन्द्रस्वनीति सकपावनातुं सोमस्वस्यावरणस्वीच्या निमो राजा अप्रवणा विपुनादिमां जातवेदामोर्दयं जापनातु भूर्भवस्सुवः तच्छयोगावृणीमहे गातुं विज्ञाजागातुं जय देवी स्वस्तिरस्तु नः स्वस्तिर्मानुषेभ्यः भूतञ्जगादवेडनं शन्नोऽस्तुद्धिपदेहं सञ्चतुष्पदे ॐ शान्तिः वरुणोत्पजे नमः समस्त उपचारान् समर्पयामि सवाख्य अभ्यंतर शुचि ऊर्ध्वस्वः
Vaila tarni.
You are giving water.
Ganga Jal.
பார்க்கறது எல்லாரும் எல்லாரும்
ஓ எல்லாரும் चक्षुषः पृथिवीगुं सन्तनु पृथिव्या अन्तरिक्षगुं सन्तनु अन्तरिक्षात् दिवः सुवः सन्तनु ॐ
Do we have place to go around?
Give us a few moments while we introduce over. Yes. What happened? No, we do all of that. We do all of that. Give us a few moments.
சரி இங்கே பண்ணிட்டோம் அதான் exactly to do it.
Yes.
There is not enough to. We do done it before. Oh, they have done it before.
Visuals is there. Sometimes they do outside, sometimes they do inside. Not just ready for creation.
We start family
This part you have to move on to that side.
On that side?
Yeah.
यः नमस्तथाये स्वाहाये नित्यमेव नमो नमः देवताभ्यः निरुद्धस्य महायोगिभ्यः एव च नमस्तथाये स्वाहाये नित्यमेव नमो नमः
And then he goes to like do his skincare.
It's staying like he grew it out.
Back to cigarettes.
I hope all of you know where we in It's 580-2000. There is food that is being arranged. Please come. Join us for lunch before we leave.
இல்ல கொஞ்சம் சாதம் இன்னொன்று சாதம் செய்யணும் சரியா பண்ணிட்டு ட்ரெயின் அம்மனி ட்ரெயின் பண்ணி நிறைய வாங்கி வைக்கிறேன் வெள்ளிக்கிழமை நான் வரேன் அவருக்கு ராஜாரோட அதுக்கு என்ன பண்றேன்னா வெள்ளிக்கிழமை ஒன்று சாமான் ஒரு எல்லாம் தண்ணி சாதம் தயிர் மட்டும் அரைமணி பால் வேற எதுவுமே தேவையில்லை. திங்கக்கிழமைக்கு என்ன தேவைன்றது சனி ஞாயிறுக்கு என்ன தேவை நீங்களும் பாருங்க. அவர் தான் ஏன்னா அவர் வேலைக்காக கவர்மெண்ட்டுக்கு வராரு. ஸோ அதனால அதை முடிச்சுட்டு அவர் இங்கே வந்து இது பண்ணிட்டு போறாரு. நியூஸ்ல தான் இருந்தாரு. இப்போ பிரைவேட் பட் அவர் அவர்கிட்ட சொல்லிட்டு நான் எனக்கு வந்து அவர்கிட்ட சொல்லி அட்ரஸ் அந்த அட்ரஸ் டெக்ஸ்ட் பண்ண சொல்லுவாங்க. வெள்ளிக்கிழமை எத்தனை ஒரு மணி நேரம் அப்ப 8 மணிக்கு வரதுனால 8 மணிக்கு வரதுனால 1 மணி நேரம் தான் மேக்ஸிமம். துணி தரப்பணும் 8 மணிக்கு வருது. ஆமா அதுக்கு நான் சொல்லிடுறேன். அதுக்கு என்ன வேணும்ன்றது லிஸ்ட் சாப்பிட்டா அரேஞ்ச் சொல்லலாமா? 7 மணி எனக்கு அட்ரஸ் அவரை விட்டு அதுக்கப்புறம் இந்த கேட்டெல்லாம்